Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Longevity Lounge. Today we have Cody Lind on. He is an ultramarathon runner and a longtime BEMER ambassador and user. So we talked to him today a little bit about everything.
We talked about his early beginnings in his career, where he grew up, how he found this passion for ultramarathon races, the 100-mile races. And then we kind of talked about his views on longevity, how he recovers from these long races, and what his goals are for the future.
Yeah, it's a great episode. We talk about his BEMER usage, all of the recovery tools, and what his training looks like. So this is a great episode today. Let's dive in.
Cody, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's truly such a pleasure, and it's so cool to study your accomplishments and your upbringing and the stuff that you do, because it's truly so phenomenal. But something that I also thought was so fascinating was just where you grew up, because it was such a small area, not many people at all, but also a lot of nature. So could you tell us a little bit about that and where you grew up?
Yeah, growing up in Idaho is kind of its own adventure within itself, but within central Idaho, a really small community. I think at the time I was living there, were 26 people, and now it's down to 7. But went to a 2-room schoolhouse, and there are about 7 to 9 kids at any time, with 1 to 2 kids in my class, my sister being the only girl. And it was just kind of a bit of survival growing up in such a small area, just because everyone's helping each other. And we had big winters with snow, and just kind of I just remember getting through the winter so everyone could enjoy the summers and be in the mountains and everything. So I think at a really young age, I was connected with nature and being outside and all the activities it has to offer. Kind of an endurance type of lifestyle at a really young age started in a really small community.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm sure when you're constantly outdoors, especially in Idaho too. I was there for a couple of years, and it's true. Like there's so many things to do, and I guess that's where your passion was found. Your passion for being outside. You're just constantly surrounded by it, right?
Yeah, constantly surrounded. And depending on the time of year, there's different activities. Right now it's January, and there's lots of skiing to be had. And then kind of in the fall, I remember that was hunting season, and I was always going out with my family and my dad and being out in the mountains for different activities. There really is something to offer, and lots of rock climbing, and my biggest sport is trail running, but all of it was incorporated at a young age, just because of where I got to grow up. And we didn't have a whole lot of ways to watch television or internet. I mean, it wasn't that remote, but you just kind of automatically went outside, and that's what I always was intrigued to do with friends or my sister, or just go walk up a trail and see what is at the end, or up to a mountain just because there's a cool rock up there. It's always something. There's always some type of activity to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you talk so much about family, Cody, and in the conversations that you and I have had prior to this interview, you talk about how much your family is a foundation for that. And your granddad was the medical director for the Western States 100 race all his career, and you got to experience that. Was that kind of how you got into this trail running that you are doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. My grandfather being the head medical director of Western States, and my dad doing a lot of ultra races at a young age. I was able to follow him and crew him throughout the U.S. on his different races. But my granddad being the head medical director for the Western States for 30 plus years, and going with him at a really young age, and following the runners and the racers and following the front group. But then I always remember, okay, maybe that front group would finish under 24 hours, but then the real hardcore group would be kind of that middle of the pack, where they're out there 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and still have a marathon left to go. And I remember really going out there and seeing that, and seeing, okay, this is what the human body is capable of doing. And for me, it was just cool because we got to go to a lot of different places that maybe crew or spectators couldn't go, because he needed to be in the scene and see some of these runners. And yeah, he was just so calm about it. But there would be runners that maybe are in a bad situation, and were low on fluids or low on sodium. And it was just something that I was really aware of at a young age, to realize, like, okay, what it takes, not just, it was kind of a metaphor throughout life, but what it takes taking care of your body for a 100-mile race, but also on an everyday basis, in order to be able to do not just ultra running, but all of these sports I love to do outside, you still have to really take care of yourself and put your health as number one. And I think a lot of that really did come from him and Western States and kind of seeing that progression throughout my life.
Yeah, what a unique perspective, because you mentioned it shows you what the human body is capable of, but it also shows you from, being around your granddad and these medical, maybe sometimes emergencies on the trail of how bad it can be if you aren't taking care of your body and hydrating and all those things that you mentioned that I'm sure is just so grueling to take care of yourself to be able to run that distance. That's a really unique perspective that you got to experience that.
Such a unique
Yeah,
one that I've
yes.
always cherished to be able I think the biggest thing is me seeing that, but being able to share it with others. And maybe it's athletes that I've had a chance to help and coach or teammates on different teams throughout the world. It's been really special to be able to just share that knowledge or just expand on it or see different things and kind of go into it more.
Yeah, I love that. And jumping ahead to, we'll get back to more of the highlights of your career because you've had a lot of them. You ran the UTMB, the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, in 2024 for the first time. And you placed seventh, which is in all of the top 20 were heavily littered with Europeans, and you were the first American male to finish that race, your first time running it. What was that like?
Yeah, that was well, I mean, it was just one of the most incredible races and days. I mean, personally, the first half of the race, I wasn't having the best day ever, but I was just like staying consistent with everything and just believing. And I think a lot of it came from, all right, I know what I've done in the past and what training I've done, and just focus on everything I have control over. It was a really hot year in the Alps during that race. And then just progressively making my way up the field through the second half and then finishing. I just remember seeing certain points and certain people, and then top 10 and then top American was just an incredible feeling that, yeah, it really hasn't been matched a whole lot because that's one of the biggest ones. And there's so many people out there that would love that. And I just cherished every moment. And when you finish the last 10K, the last few miles, you're going through the streets of Chamonix, France, and it's just lined with people and spectators. And it was just really, I remember right now, I'm just getting chills of it because you just soak it all in. And that's the biggest and the highest level that we have in our sport in a 100-mile type of mountain race. It is the Olympics. It is kind of the biggest stage, and being able to represent yeah, kind of your country and your brand and everything, but being able to be on that podium for the top 10 uh, was definitely something that I knew it was possible, but something that was very, very special and unique in my career.
It is very special and unique, Cody. And hearing you talk about it makes me excited. And I don't love running, but seeing you, like your eyes light up when you talk about it, you can tell how passionate you are about it. So for someone that maybe isn't as well versed in ultra trail running, that's our listeners that are tuning into this, walk us through what the UTMB looks like from start of the race to the beginning. Kind of like paint that picture for us. What does that race look like?
So UTMB Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc is it's basically 100 miles, but I think it's 108, 110 miles about. Uh, in it starts in Chamonix, France, and ends in Chamonix, France, and the goal is to go around Mont Blanc, which Mont Blanc is the tallest mountain in Europe. Uh, and you also go through three different countries. So you start in Chamonix, France, and then you go over into Cormier, Italy, and then work your way over into Switzerland, Champex, Switzerland, and then back over into France. And it's about 110 miles, uh, I think 30 to 35,000 feet of elevation gain throughout the race. About 3,000 participants in that race. There's lots of different races throughout the week, but there's about 3,000 in that one, and it is kind of, yeah, the biggest one that there is throughout the world. And also just people from all over, spectators all over, all these villages are just packed with people to cheer. And it's really unique because you actually start at 6 p.m. on a Friday night. So everyone has to run throughout the night. And then, yeah, some of the fastest times are around 20-ish hours. And people have 46 and a half hours to do the full loop in. And it's, yeah, it is just insane. And a lot of people are in that 40-hour range. And I've had the privilege doing it twice now, but going back around that 40-hour time and just seeing people finish, it is truly special to be there when everyone else, when they've gone through a couple different sunrises.
Makes me sound like a pansy.
Yeah, running all night, all through the night, and through the sunrise, through the sunset. I can't even fathom that. I went to Switzerland for the first time last fall, and I saw the Alps, and I know that you did that race in 2024 and this past year, and I just was thinking to myself, like, those mountains look so intimidating, and I was just picturing you up there just running around them in the middle of the night.
Yeah, nice little run up there.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah, and there's a ton of hiking and so much of this race is dealing with the elements and eating and all the nutrition, and then just all the different layers. Maybe this last or 2024 it was really hot. It was kind of like a record year for heat, I feel like. And then this last year, the first, I don't know, 8-10 hours, it was basically downpour rain and snow on us. So it was completely opposite. And it's just, how do people manage? And it's managing that. So there's so much more than just racing, and kind of tying it back to where I grew up in Idaho. It's like, that's why I love it, because it's just this big adventure, and it feels right at home when you're having to deal with all the different elements, and just, you could have 5 different types of weather throughout the whole race, and it's right back to Idaho in the mountains. And it's really fun to piece it together, because it's so much more than just running.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how beautiful the sights must be up there. Although you're really just hustling through it, and day in and day out, night out, I guess. But I just can't imagine that. It has to be such beautiful, beautiful views up there. And you're not racing, right? Like you said, like it's a marathon. So your average speed is what, 7-8 miles an hour, would you say?
Yeah, maybe on some of it, you're having 20-minute miles and you're stoked with that, because you're just hiking really, because some of the valleys you're down super low, and then you have a 8,000 foot climb, and it's just straight up going. And then maybe you're 5-6 minute miles on some of the downhills later into the race if you can. So it just varies so much, and you're having to practice and get all the vert and get all of the training in the mountains, but then also having leg speed and having the turnover to be ready for some of those faster sections and through those villages. And so, yeah, I think it really has so much and all the different ingredients, because it's not just the running.
Yeah, you kind of talked about this earlier, but I think for people who are maybe not as familiar with the sport or haven't done it themselves, you can sometimes get these like mixed opinions where people are like, you have to be super disciplined, it's all sacrifice, all pain, all endure this, Whereas others, kind of similar to you, where you just love being outside. Obviously, things of this nature is going to be extremely challenging, but there is definitely an element of passion, and I just love doing this stuff. I love being outside. I love pushing myself. So what is it like for you, and what is your mindset like while you're in these races?
Yeah, and I think it's doing the right things beforehand, and a lot of that is the right training, the right prep beforehand, making sure that you're very well trained. But there's a fine line between like being very well trained and kind of being overcooked, and or doing too much in a short amount of time. And something like UTMB, I believe I can do something like that like once a year, where some athletes might do it something like that a couple times a year. And there's a balance, because you can get really worn out, and I think you need some really good training, and you have to have a lot of fun with it too. Of just, I'm very fortunate. I have some sponsors. I'm able to be over there and be training there for 6-8 weeks before the race, and it really sets you up in a good state, and you're just kind of in your routine. And for me, it's being in a really good routine throughout the whole build-up process, so I feel mentally ready as well as physically ready. Because I think you can be so well trained and have all of this fitness and everything, but if your mind isn't in it, then that's, I would say, like, so much, 60% of it is the mental side, and just prepping and writing things down, and then visioning and just knowing where you're going to be at certain times of the course, and practicing that and getting on those sections and mimicking them. There's a lot of the sections I'll go run and start at like 10 at night and then finishing Cormier at 2 or 3 in the morning, and just really mimic that as if it were the race. And I think it's, yeah, trying to put yourself in the best position.
Yeah, I recently just rewatched Free Solo, and just watching, someone, similar to you, obviously different sport, but just like really intense, pushing their body to their limits, and watching how meticulous he is with every move. He'll record everything, write it down. He's constantly revising things, and he has moments in the documentary where even just the presence of cameras just throws him off. He can't do it. But when they kind of separate, he can get back into that state again. So what is it? Do you have similar, actions or behaviors like that, where it's like, oh, I need these things for me mentally to be able to be locked in, or kind of, a review process or something to help get you into the right mentality?
Yes, and it's always working on that. And I think a lot of it is writing it down and just having different mottos for different sections of the course. And that starts now. It doesn't just necessarily start a week before the race, but it's okay, in your prep, you're starting to picture this and put it together 4 or 5 months before the race, so you can really work on that and know what some of the strengths are and what something, okay, could, what if something happens to your pack that you're wearing, and just not letting it affect you. But yeah, I think absolutely you have to have it all dialed on being able to write it down, have the right mottos. And a lot of that is with training as well. And it's not just the race, it's having this plan beforehand and always working with the team. And maybe it's teammates, your coach, your mental health coach, just everything you're doing in order to prepare yourself for that race, and making sure that that race isn't the end all of everything as well, that there's a plan after that as well. And just knowing that, there's all these layers that you're trying to sharpen. And I think also just preparing yourself for the longevity of it as well, which is something that I'm always trying to do, of just, I want to be doing this a really long time. And it's not always just for this one race, but it's years from now as well.
Do you have a specific goal in mind? I'm just so curious, like what age would Cody love to be running ultramarathons at?
Yeah, and I think for me, I always envision myself another 20, 30 years from now being able to do that. I'm not saying at a very super elite level, but having that joy and not being overcooked and not having a body that can't do it. So it's taking care of myself now. And I think, let's say I were to do a UTMB type of race, because there's so many races now, but if I did 3 or 4 of those every year, I think that would set me up for a shorter career, where, okay, doing other races and kind of piecing things together and having the right mindset to be able to, I want to be able to ski and train at a high level and climb and run and do these things for another 20, 30 years at a pretty high level. And then, I mean, I even look, some of the best runners right now that are doing so well at UTMB and these mountain races, some of them are 15 to 18 years older than me. And it's like, wow, there's longevity. It's just playing it smart and really enjoying it. And I think that's a big part of, you have to be able to enjoy the process of running and training, and then piecing all the other things together, because all the stuff that goes on social media is kind of the sexy stuff of pictures in the mountains and all this stuff. But okay, what about the never-ending gym work sometimes, or what all the recovery process and sitting in a sauna, or all of the other stuff as well.
It's so cool. I love that you have this goal in mind to keep going, right? And it seems like from when you talk about it, you really love the process of it all. Like maybe it's the race is obviously the pinnacle and the exciting point that you get to at the end of all the training and the preparation and the planning ahead for everything. But it seems like the process brings you joy, and ultimately you just want to keep doing that as long as you can. And it seems like you're going to be able to. Like, it's so cool to see these athletes that can continue doing this for so long. I mean, I feel like in the NFL games this season, we've seen like all of the old quarterbacks are back. Like Phillip Rivers came back, right? You're like, what's going on? He's got 10 kids. He's in his 40s, like, and he's doing great out there. So it's cool to see these older athletes continue to keep doing the sports they love. Because on the other end of it, you come down after being an incredible athlete, and there's just this sad side of it where you don't get to do what you love every day because your body just can't keep up. So I love that you have that goal to just keep going as long as you can, because I can tell, Cody, it brings you so much joy, and it's so awesome to watch you talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it all kind of links back to being at that young age at Western States and seeing some of those runners and still seeing them, and it's 20, 25 years later and they're still running, or maybe they're back in Western States. And I saw that and it's like, okay, if you can link that together. So it just really goes back to so much of what I was so fortunate to see at a young age as well.
Walk us through your recovery process, because obviously like a race like this, it's more than just a toll on your body. It's like, you know, you're reaching the very limits of what your body can do. So how do you recover and replenish after something like that? What is your go-to and your routine to just get your body back into a good state?
Yeah, something like UTMB, I tell myself I have to listen to myself. And yes, I have coach and everything, and we're so dialed on being able to, okay, maybe it's just interesting because sometimes a week after, maybe you're ready to go for a race, or not a race, go for a run and do an hour run or something. But sometimes that can be 2 or 3 weeks later. But generally the process is 1 month, I would say about 3 to 4 weeks of no structure. Just listen to yourself. Maybe you're like, oh, I want to go for a walk. I want to go for a run. I want to do something different. But it's pretty hard on the human body to do these things. And it's all about the recovery. And it's all about the recovery, not just in the race, but beforehand, and all of the prep and all of the training. And you have these huge back-to-back long runs, and it's doing that. So then you've done all that training for the last 8 weeks, and now you've had a huge race. You really have to decompress, I feel like. And that's where listening to yourself, getting massages, using a BEMER, using everything, and eating the right things. I think one of the big things, you're so diligent on eating and having an amazing diet and trying to do everything, but I think it's just as important after the race as well to make sure you're getting enough, because your body's still working and all these little muscles are damaged, and it's just trying to piece everything together over the course of 3 to 4 weeks, I feel like. And just generally for me, maybe it's 3 to 4 runs a week, 30 to 40 minutes, a bunch of cross training, and then honestly just trying to get a lot of sleep and doing the right things for that month afterwards, because generally you'll come back pretty fast and you're like, oh, within 2 weeks I feel so good. But then there's just this fatigue of tiredness of feeling, oh, you get out there and you're like, I could just fall asleep on the trail or something. And it's just getting extra sleep and eating enough. I think that's the biggest thing.
So you mentioned BEMER. How do you like to use BEMER in your training, in your preparation, and then in your recovery afterwards?
And most of the time, it's honestly just the normal protocol is what I love to stick with. It works. And I've been consistent with it for 6.5 years now. And it's something that, okay, 8 minutes in the morning, 8 minutes in the evening. I have a couple different recovery sessions that I'll do, maybe after a race or after a hard workout and whatnot, but kind of sticking to the normal regimen and being able to just be consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. And for me, I'm always traveling and kind of on the move a lot. So I'm trying to be consistent. In some places I go, I just, it's really hard to take, but then I'm always like, okay, when I get home, I have to just be consistent anytime, or then when I'm traveling. And I think one of the biggest things is being able to travel and use it, maybe just because you're always dealing with jet lag or different sleeps. And I'm not going to say that it cures jet lag, but it definitely helps, I feel like. And just, it's a tool that I can use and just can rely on to be consistent with. And it's doesn't take much time, and I always find that time just relaxing. It gives me that time to meditate as well.
Yeah, I'm sure your views on longevity, you were talking about it earlier, keeping, the races going as you get a little bit older. I'm sure these races will obviously have a huge toll on your body over time. Has your view on longevity health-wise shifted since being so involved in these races? Like how, when you look at some of the injuries or the things that might happen to your body from these races, are you just more aware of that now? Like what is your approach to health longevity?
Yeah, and for me, it's being able to not do too much. So many times you get on on these really big highs after, say, a 2024 UTMB result, and you just want more and more and more because you're like, oh, my body's at such a high level, everything is tuned. And it really comes down to being able to recover from that and not do too much too soon after. And that's where, kind of going back to, I really have to take those 3 to 4 weeks, or maybe it takes 6 weeks of just lots of recovery and trying to do the right things. And I think that goes back to what I learned at a really young age from my grandfather and my dad, of these things aren't the best for the human body. And that's a huge reason that I started using BEMER in 2019, because of another tool to help me with the longevity of this sport. And so it's kind of always testing and seeing, and then knowing what some of the others are doing, and seeing them and where they're at, people that are older than me, and then also seeing the other side of some athletes that I'm like, oh, they're just, this might be a little too much in a 6 month span or a year span. And it's just kind of always studying and being a student of the sport as well.
Yeah.
Totally. And you mentioned kind of going back to the basics, right? Like the standard protocol for BEMER works really well. You don't have to overcomplicate it. And I think that's maybe my favorite thing about BEMER. And someone who runs and is as active as you are, even, it works well, is just keeping it basic and going back to kind of what your body naturally does and helping it do that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, not overcomplicating things. And that's something, maybe a huge reason I loved BEMER from the get-go, because it wasn't overcomplicated. It was like, oh, I literally lie down, and 8 minutes in the morning, 8 minutes in the evening, and it's going to help with my recovery. And then I'm just doing all the other things on top of it. Like, what a perfect tool for me, because I a lot of times don't even overcomplicate my training, because it's all right, bigger picture. And yeah, you can get really in tune and you have these insane workouts, and it's just, all right, what about the longevity and all of this, and just being consistent and trying to be healthy throughout all of it. And yeah, just like the prime connection with BEMER as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Life's complicated enough. We don't need a complicated recovery tool. We just need to lay it down and press the button and let our body do its thing. I totally
Just get comfortable. Get comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure meeting with you, talking to you about your career. And just in closing, do you mind just sharing with the audience some upcoming goals and things that you're excited for in your career and your races?
Yeah, I have so many amazing opportunities, I feel like, throughout the world, and seeing things and different races. And it's just, I always look forward to connecting with different communities throughout the world, and different runners and different people, and being able to tell a story, and then them to share their story. And it's something I love to do. And then kind of on the competition side of things, yeah, like a Western States, a UTMB, I still have really big goals at those races, as well as some other ones kind of throughout the world. And maybe some projects of some sort in the Himalayas, some other stuff in Africa. Like, just being able to experience these mountains in a way that I've been capable of is, yeah, it's something that I really look forward to, and being able to, yeah, just connect with so many people throughout it all.
That's so awesome. And it's truly such a treat to be a part of your journey, Cody. We just are rooting for you. It's so awesome to watch you accomplish milestone after milestone in your career. And we hope you continue to take BEMER along with you for all of these adventures you have coming up.
I'm so grateful for BEMER and all of the support. And I always compare it to kind of the ultra community and the ultra runners. Yeah, I'm talking numbers and these huge races and whatnot, but it's really this small knit family type of event. Everyone's in it together. It doesn't matter if you were first at UTMB or last at UTMB, everyone's on that starting line, and we're all conquering the same type of course and trying to go through the highs and lows. And I've felt that. I've been at different meetings and met all these people throughout BEMER, and it's been really special to have that connection of that family type of feel as well. So I'm so grateful for that, and thank you for all of the support.
Man, thank you for joining us.
We're rooting for you. Thank you so much for joining us, Cody.